Okay, welcome back. And today I'm gonna exploring the last section of the chapter, which is about macroeconomic school of thought. So under this section, we'll explore three main subsections. Basically, the school of thought in macroeconomics. So the first section will be the classical school of thought, and then the Keynesian school of thought, and finally we'll explore the new Keynesians and the new classical school of thought and conclude the chapter. So let's start and from the basic concept. So school of macroeconomic thoughts are closely associated with the economic history of the world actually, and further development in the world economy lead newer ideas and newer school of thought. So in fact, macroeconomics as a specialized branch of field in economics did not exist prior to Keynesian economics. So Keynesian theory came into existence as a response to the Great Depression period, which is occurred around the year 1929 up to 1933. So the Great Depression of the 1930s was thought to be a pivotal moment that gave birth to the subject of macroeconomics or field of macroeconomics. So let's start from the first topic of the section, which is the classical and neoclassical school of macroeconomic school. The usage of the term classical theory is attributed to John Maynard Keynes, who used it to refer to all economists who wrote prior to 1930s, before the Great Depression period. And yet another categorization distinguishes between the two periods, that is the classical period, which refers to the work of Adam Smith, Dietrich Kepler, John Stuart Mills, and Say as well as and other economists during the 18th and 19th century. And the second category is the neoclassical period, which is dominated by a well-known economist, Alfred Marshall, and others. So it is basically the 10th century economists. And classical economists emerged as a critique of the idea of the mercantilism. And mercantilists believe that wealth of a nation depends on the amount of bullion or precious metals, particularly gold and metal, silver, with it. So they pursued policies of maximization of export and minimization of import through imposition of tariff and subsidies. So it promoted imperialism in the world. Actually, mercantilists who existed before the period of classical economists. So the classical economists assume that wages and prices are fully flexible, which result in full employment level of output. So also the aggregate production would generate sufficient aggregate demand, and thereby the sales laws will be satisfied. So according to the Jean-Baptiste Say, supply creates its own demand. So in this theory, the level of aggregate output is constant at the full employment level, and money supply determines only the price level of the price level. And classical economists actually stressed upon the self-adjusting tendency of the economy. So since the economy returns to its full employment output level automatically. The classical economists disliked government intervention in economic policies. So they assume that all economic agents are rational and markets are perfectly competitive, and then prices are flexible. So everything is set to the market forces. So there's no need of government. Inflation and market itself adjusts itself, and prices are flexible to change. So the economy is operating in the full employment. Actually, at this level, you may not understand the concept of full employment, and you will learn this one in the fifth chapter. So actually, full employment is it refers to a situation where all available labor resources are being used in the most efficient possible way. So it does not mean doesn't mean that zero unemployment, but rather a level of employment where only natural unemployment exists, which includes physical, fractional, and structural unemployment. And the second, after the classical assumption, actually we can understand the classical assumption beliefs, or classical theories, or classical economists believe in the context that there is no any need of, or the government intervention in the economy is minimal, and they assume that there's minimal intervention of government because everything is self-adjusting or self-regulating. So market itself adjusts by its market forces, supply and demand, and there's no such an influential impact of government intervention in the market variables, actually economic variables. So most of the economic variables, such as income, outputs, employment, they are flexible and changing, and they will be naturally adjusting themselves. So they believe that everything will be determined by the market itself. And the second theory we are going to explain is the Keynesian theory. And according to the classical, they believe in self-adjusting market that could not able to explain the Great Depression, which is occurred during the 1930s. And the classicalists were unable to fix the issue of Great Depression, or they were unable to have an answer for the Great Depression problem, which hit most of the developed economies in the 1930s. So in fact, the capitalist world saw many crises even in the 9th century, but the situation grew worse in the 20th century, culminating in the Great Depression of the 1930s. So stock market is crashed, and thousands of banks failed. Businessmen cut back investment and production, and millions of workers become unemployed and jobless. So the entire world was witnessing one of the worst economic calamities during the time. So it is in the context that John Maynard Keynes wrote the general theory of employment, interest, and money, which became the base for the Keynesian economics. So according to Keynes, high unemployment was a result of low aggregate demand, which in turn was a consequence of low investment. And further, Keynes believes that nominal wages would not be completely flexible. It would be rigid, and as a result, full employment would not be ensured in the economy. And it implies the aggregate supply will not be at the full employment level always because of the rigidity of the price and the wages. And when we place aggregate supply and aggregate demand together, we obtain the equilibrium level of output and prices. Actually, you may not understand the aggregate demand now, but don't worry, we will explain this one in the third chapter of the course. So actually, aggregate demand is equivalent to national income. It refers to the total demand for goods and service in an economy at a given price level and time period, and it represents actually the overall spending by three economic agents plus the net export actually. So it represents the overall spending by household, government, and business firms and the foreign buyers. So simply it represents the total quantity of goods and services that producers in an economy are willing and able to produce. So aggregate supply, on the other hand, means represents the total quantity of goods and services that producers are in the economy. Producers in the economy are willing and able to produce at different price level or given part of time. So unlike that of aggregate demand, which represents total spending of the service sector, aggregate supply focuses on the employment. So the government needs to intervene and create demand through higher government spending, according to the Keynesian's theory. So Keynes laid particular emphasis on the use of fiscal policy to alleviate unemployment and increase output. So according to the Keynesian economists, government spending should be counter-cyclical. When there is inflationary pressure in the economy, the government should cut down on public expenditure and it should go for surplus budget. On the other hand, when there is a recession, government should increase public spending. This Keynesian economist prescribes an activist role of the government, which is ignored by the classical economists. So it found a widespread acceptance among policymakers. So its popularity can be viewed from the fact that during the 1915s and 1916, most economists were Keynesians. So in short, assuming full flexibility of wage and price, classical economists conclude that economics is always in equilibrium at the full employment level of output. A capital market, for instance, the market for loanable funds actually ensures that there is no deficiency of demand. So the directional quantity theory gives the level of prices. According to the classical theory, government intervention in the economy cannot impact output levels. So classical economists suggested minimum government intervention in the economy. And on the other hand, Keynes gives their diametrically opposite theory. According to the Keynesian theory, equilibrium income is that level of income which is equal to aggregate demand. So this can be lower than full employment level of income. That is, aggregate demand is based on the simultaneous equilibrium of the goods and that money market. So further, unlike classical theory, Keynesian theory assumes that wages are rigid. This gives an upward sloping for the aggregate supply curve or trade-off between inflation and employment actually in terms of lead curve. We'll explain those things later. So Keynesian theory emphasizes using expansionary fiscal policy in order to increase employment and output in the economy. Actually, they use one of effective policy among the two major available economic policy, that fiscal policy and monetary policy. So The last section is regarding the neoclassical and new Keynesian theory. So I mean new Keynesians and new classical economics theory. So the new classical economists proceed the classical idea through newer tools of analysis. Actually, there are silent features of the new classical theory, and the important feature of the new classical economics are mentioned here. So the first one is the Lucas critical. So based on the Keynesian model policy, makers believe that they have mastered the act of policy making, and they have wide range of policy options. Stagflation during the 1970s, however, shattered such optimism, and the known economist Robert Lucas criticized the Keynesian model on the ground that the model lacked a micro foundation. So these are highly aggressive models, so the parameter of the model change when there is a change in policy. Thus, forecast based on the past data doesn't hold good for the aggressive models. So Robert Lucas criticized the Keynesian theory of economic model in this perspective. And we have the micro foundation of macroeconomics, which is another silent feature of the new classical theory, and the rational expectation theory also. So we will express these things in the later section, in the second part of this course. So at the time when a new classical idea are spreading, some followers of Samuelson tradition discard the conventional ISLM model framework and develop the new Keynesian models. The new Keynesian models are also based on rational utility maximizing individual, like the new classical model. So new Keynesian economists present the Keynesian's idea by using some of the new classical tool of analysis, which I try to explain as micro foundation and rational expectation. There is a basic difference between new classical theory and the new Keynesian theory. However, new classical economists assume that there is perfect competition in the market and economy, because of which price and wages are fully flexible. And new Keynesian economists believe that there are imperfection and information asymmetry, and this information asymmetry can lead to distort the economy. So because of the prices and this imperfection informations of which there are rigidity in price and wages, it means that the variables don't adjust to desired level of instantaneously, so they cannot adjust themselves. And the imperfection condition could be on account of several factors, maybe market power of the firm, nominal of, or let's say the real rigidity of wages, nominal or real rigidity of wages, and price, and as well as symmetry information. In such theoretical framework, fluctuation in aggregate demand create fluctuation in output and employment. So neoclassical assume that there is still possible that price can adjust themselves, and market will determine its equilibrium. But a new classical model and the new Keynesian models are based on maximizing microeconomic behavior of rational individuals in an intertemporal framework. So difference in assumptions or the market imperfection, however, give us quite contrasting results. So by assuming perfect competition, the new classical economists could come out with with that are close to original classical theory. The new Keynesian economists challenge the assumption of perfect competition by assuming market imperfection. They could receive some of the Keynesian ideas. So, and that's what concludes our last section of the chapter.